You want to know why it hurts? Why it feels like life's choking you slowly? Like someone's got their hand on your throat and they're not squeezing fast. No, they're enjoying it, pressing in, little by little. That's life. You thought this world was fair? You thought pain was optional? Number you were lied to, kid. They sold you dreams in pretty little wrappers, told you to be kind, humble, nice, told you that if you gave your heart, someone would protect it. If you gave effort, you'd get results. If you told the truth, people would respect you. Lies. Every single damn one of them. That's the joke. The punchline you don't laugh at. You look around, and what do you see? People smiling with knives in their pockets. Friends turning into ghosts. Lovers turning into strangers. You give, they take. You trust, they twist. You break, and the world just keeps walking like you never existed. And the best part? They'll blame you for your own destruction. That's how this game is played. Life doesn't reward the real ones, the honest ones, the loyal ones. No, it feeds them to the wolves and then applauds when they don't come back. But here's the thing. The wolves taught me to bite back. And now, I ain't coming back to beg. I'm coming back to burn. You sit there asking, why me? Why not you? You think you're too good for pain? You think heartbreak skips the kind ones? It doesn't. It finds the softest hearts to hit first. Because pain, it's a sculptor. It doesn't work with plastic. It works with gold. With souls that bleed deep, that care too much, that love too hard. Those are the ones life chooses to crush first, to test, to mold. And if you break, if you stay down, then you were never meant to rise. But if you rise, cold, calculated, still breathing, then congratulations. You've just met the real version of yourself. You want to survive this mess? Then forget everything they taught you. Forget waiting for someone to save you. Nobody's coming. Not your friends. Not your ex. Not society. Not family. People got their own demons. They ain't got time for yours. And the ones who say they do, half of them just want to know where to stab you if you turn your back. So stand alone, not because you're proud, but because you've seen what leaning gets you. Betrayal, disrespect, silence. Let me tell you something cold. Life doesn't care about your past. It doesn't care how many nights you cried yourself to sleep. It doesn't care how good you've been or how many people you helped. Life moves on. People move on. Even the ones who swore they'd never leave. You could give them heaven and they'll still choose the illusion of hell somewhere else, because most people, they don't want peace. They want noise, drama, games. And when you choose peace, when you choose growth, when you get silent, they'll call you the villain. Isn't that poetic? So here's what you do. You stop explaining. You stop begging. You stop hoping they'll understand your heart. They won't, and they don't deserve to. You grow fangs. You grow silence. You turn your pain into armor. You stop reacting, stop chasing, stop fixing people who enjoy being broken, and you build, alone if you must, quietly, ruthlessly, relentlessly. You use every scar as fuel, every tear as blueprint. You don't post it, you don't announce it, you just do the work. And when they finally look up, when they finally notice, you're gone. Not dead, just untouchable. Because life is hard, kid. It doesn't reward the loudest. It rewards the most disciplined, the most silent, the most unshakable. You ain't here to be liked. You're here to become something they'll regret losing. And when they ask why you're so distant, so cold, so unbothered, just smile. Because that's the part they'll never understand. They thought breaking you would end you, but it built you. And now, you're the storm they didn't prepare for. You know what people never tell you? That strength doesn't look like muscles or shouting or showing off. Real strength looks like silence after betrayal, like not texting back, like walking away with your chest burning, your stomach twisted, and your hands shaking, but still walking away. It's showing up every day when your soul is tired, when the world's gray and your heart is screaming at you to give up, but you don't. You keep moving. You show no one the war inside. That's power. That's the type of strength this world can't measure, can't understand, and definitely can't fake. They teach you to be loud, to scream your pain, to beg for attention. But power, real power, it's invisible. It's earned in shadows and cold nights where no one claps for you. In battles you don't post about. In nights you cry without a sound, because there's no one worth telling. That's where you meet your real self. When no one's watching, no one's helping, and still you rise. They'll say you've changed. Of course you did. Pain changes people. Love changes people. Abandonment changes people. And the worst part? You'll still miss the ones who hurt you. You'll still dream about the ones who left. That's the sick joke. You'll bleed for people who never even carried a bandage for you. But that's what makes you dangerous. Because you keep loving through the wreckage. You keep hoping through the silence. You keep building through the storms. But don't confuse that for weakness. Number. That kind of heart is rare. That kind of soul terrifies those who couldn't break you. They don't know what to do with someone who stayed kind in a world that kept trying to kill that kindness. And when life throws another punch, and it will, you don't flinch anymore. You've been hit harder by people you trusted. You've been cut deeper by the words of people you loved. Pain doesn't scare you now. Comfort does. Because you know nothing grows in comfort. You know you're most alive when your back's against the wall, your eyes cold, and your heart focused. So you stopped chasing comfort. You started chasing growth. Even if it meant losing people. Even if it meant becoming the villain in their story. Let them talk. Let them point fingers. You weren't born to please anyone. You were born to evolve, to rise, to destroy the version of you that kept getting used, kept getting walked on, kept getting left behind. You want to know what the cruelest lesson is? That loyalty is rarely returned, that love is rarely matched, that energy is rarely reciprocated. But that doesn't mean you stop giving. It means you start choosing better. You learn to give in silence, to love without need, to show up without announcements. And when someone doesn't match your energy, you don't lower yours, you remove them. That's maturity, that's growth, that's survival. Because life's too damn short to water dead gardens, too damn painful to beg people to see your worth. You are not a mirror for their blindness. You are not a savior for their demons. Let them lose you. Let them regret it. Let them sit in the silence they created. You keep walking. Even if you limp, even if you crawl, because you made it this far without them. You'll make it further without looking back. And the next time you feel like you're losing everything, remember, sometimes you have to. Sometimes life strips you bare so you can rebuild yourself from nothing, stronger, colder, smarter. It's not punishment, it's preparation, it's rebirth. The weak versions of you had to die so the real one could breathe, so the world could see what happens when someone who had every reason to break chose to become unbreakable instead. That's your power. Not in how loud you scream, but in how silent you became. Not in who loves you, but in who couldn't shake you. They'll tell stories about your silence one day, about how you didn't fight back, you just disappeared, and let karma do the rest. You see, the thing about life is, it doesn't knock on your door politely. It doesn't give you a warning before it rips everything away. One day you're surrounded by people who say they love you, who swear they'll never leave. And the next, silence. Just like that. And you're left there, sitting in a room full of ghosts, memories echoing louder than any apology ever could. That's when it hits you. No one is really yours, not forever, not even for long. People are seasonal. Some are storms, some are droughts, and a few, just a few, are lessons dressed as love. And the sooner you accept that, the faster you grow. See, life's not about keeping everyone. It's about knowing who to let go of, and when to shut the damn door before they burn the whole house down. You learn that too late, most times. After you've given too much, after you've forgiven what should have been unforgivable, after you made excuses for behavior that spit in the face of your worth. But pain is a hell of a teacher. It doesn't give lectures. It drags you. It breaks you. And then it asks, so, what now? And your answer? That's where your story begins. Not in the love you gave, not in the people you trusted, but in the moment you realize it's you against the weight of everything that tried to kill your spirit. And you stop being soft for those who use softness as a weapon against you. You stop explaining the kind of heart you have. You let them guess, let them assume, because anyone who truly saw you never would have doubted you to begin with. You want peace? Then get ready to lose people, because peace offends the ones who thrive on chaos. Your silence will be louder than your cries ever were. Your calm will scare them more than your anger did, because they were never prepared for you to become untouchable. They counted on you to keep breaking, to keep explaining, to keep proving, but not anymore. Now you let them go, without a fight, without a word. You just vanish. And the silence, it eats at them. They'll replay everything in their head, but it'll be too late, because you already rebuilt yourself in the fire they lit. You already walked through the ruins they left behind. And now you're not the same. You've become what they fear, a version of you that doesn't need anyone, that doesn't wait for closure, that doesn't chase validation. You stopped asking, why did they do that? And started telling yourself, they showed me who they are. I'm done. That's when the game changes. That's when you become the nightmare they never saw coming. Because now you move differently. You think twice. You speak less. You observe more. You cut people off with no announcement, no ceremony. Just gone. Not because you're cold, but because you finally learned not everyone deserves a seat at your table, especially the ones who laughed while you starved. And don't let them guilt you for it either. Don't let them say, you've changed. Hell yes, you changed. Growth ain't supposed to look the same. You evolved. And if your growth offends them, it means they were never rooting for you in the first place. People love you when you're beneath them, when you're broken, when you're begging. But once you start walking different, talking different, moving with purpose, they panic. They say you're distant, arrogant, cold, number. You just finally saw through their performance. You realized you don't owe anyone comfort at the expense of your own destruction. You owe yourself everything. Every ounce of energy you wasted on people who couldn't even match your loyalty, reinvest that into you, your body, your mind, your hustle, your peace. Don't let the past choke your future. Don't let heartbreak become your home. Let it be the fire that forged your next chapter. Because the ones who left, they never had the capacity to handle who you're becoming. They were never your forever. They were your wake-up call. And now that you're awake, make them wish they never underestimated you. You want to know what's real in this world? Pain. Not the fake kind, the one people whine about for attention, but the real kind. The kind that crawls into your chest when you're alone. The kind that doesn't need an audience. The kind that eats away at you when your mind won't shut up at night. When everything gets quiet and your thoughts get loud, that's when you feel it. The betrayal, the abandonment, the weight of everything you gave and never got back. You start replaying conversations in your head, thinking about what you should have said, what you should have done. But it's too late now. They're gone. And all you've got left are pieces of memories, of promises, of yourself. And no matter how strong you thought you were, that kind of pain humbles you. It teaches you that love can destroy just as fast as it can heal, that people can change in the blink of an eye, and that forever is just a word people throw around when they need something from you. But here's the thing. They never expected you to survive it. They never thought you'd keep going after they walked, after they lied, after they smiled in your face and stabbed you in the back. They thought that was your end, that you'd crumble, that you'd come running back, but you didn't. You suffered in silence. You bled in private. You healed without a spotlight. And that's what terrifies them now, because they can't hurt you anymore. You're not the same person. You've seen too much, felt too much, lost too much. And now you've become dangerous. Not because you're violent, not because you're bitter, but because you learned how to carry pain like it's armor. Because you turned every betrayal into fuel. Because your silence became your sharpest weapon. People don't understand how strong you are until they realize they can't access you anymore. Until they knock on the door they used to barge through and find it locked. And you're not angry. You're not bitter. You're just done. And that, right there, is power. Because nothing confuses the enemy more than peace they can't disrupt. They'll wonder how you got over it so fast, how you moved on like it didn't tear you apart. What they'll never know is it did tear you apart. But you stitched yourself back together in the dark. No help, no applause, just grit, just will, just pain turned into power. And that power, that's the part they'll never take from you again. So what now? You stay cold, not heartless, just smart, just guarded, just focused. You stop chasing love in people who are still learning to love themselves. You stop shrinking to fit into places that never valued your presence. You stop explaining to people who already decided to misunderstand you. And most of all, you stop waiting for apologies, for closure, for people to finally realize your worth. If they didn't see it when you gave them your all, they'll only regret it when you give them nothing. And regret, that's their burden to carry, not yours. You owe it to yourself to become someone your past self needed. Someone who doesn't break just because life gets heavy. Someone who doesn't bend just because someone else walked away. You stand up, even when your legs shake. You speak less. You observe more. You don't react. You respond with silence, with distance, with elevation. And as you rise, don't look back. Not out of pride, but because there's nothing back there for you. Just lessons, just reminders, just echoes of a version of you that no longer exists. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are not bitter. You are healing. And one day, they'll talk about you like a myth. They'll whisper about how you turned pain into peace, how you vanished and came back stronger, how you smiled through fire, and they'll wish they never doubted you, never lost you. But by then, you'll be too far gone, untouchable, unreachable, unforgettable. There's something beautiful and brutal about reaching the point where you stop needing people. Not in a bitter way, not in a way that says, I hate the world. Number, it's deeper than that. It's when you've seen the truth too many times to believe in fantasies anymore. When you've been abandoned while giving your last breath. When you've been overlooked while holding people together. When you've been loyal in rooms full of liars. That's when you wake up. That's when something inside you snaps, not with rage, but with clarity. You stop explaining your silence. You stop breaking your back to be understood. You stop lighting yourself on fire to keep other people warm. And for the first time, you choose you. You become your own rescue, your own shoulder, your own protector. And suddenly, the world doesn't seem so terrifying, because you finally realize the only person who ever really had you is you. And that's when people start to panic. See, they were counting on your need, on your softness, on your attachment. They never imagined you'd walk away with your head up, that you'd stop replying, that you'd stop caring. You were their safe place, their comfort, their backup plan. But now you're not picking up. Now you're not available. Now you're rebuilding a kingdom out of the ruins they left you in. And that silence, that distance, it screams louder than any fight you could have had. It makes them look in the mirror. And that's something most people can't handle, because they know what they did. And now that you're gone, they finally feel the loss. But you're done feeling. You're tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep can fix. The kind that comes from carrying too much for too long. From being the strong one. The one who always understands. Always forgives. Always stays. That kind of weight changes a person. It makes you colder, sharper, wiser. You learn to read people by what they don't say. You learn to walk away from what you used to beg for. You stop asking, why did they hurt me? And start asking, why did I stay? And that question, that one wrecks you. Because deep down, you knew. You just didn't want to believe that people could love you and still hurt you. But they can, and they will. And that's the lesson. That love isn't always enough. That loyalty isn't always returned. That sometimes the most dangerous person in your life is the one you trusted most. So what now? Now you elevate. Now you focus. You stop chasing distractions dressed as connections. You stop settling for crumbs when you deserve the whole damn table. You stop letting people come back just because they're sorry. You realize that an apology without change is just manipulation. And you don't tolerate that anymore. You don't let people hurt you twice. You don't give second chances to people who made you question your worth. You move like someone who knows what they bring. Quiet, confident, unshaken. And when they try to come back, because they always do, you look them dead in the eyes and you say nothing. Because your silence, that's the closure. That's the payback. That's the proof that you've outgrown the pain. And maybe, just maybe, you finally understand what life was trying to teach you all along. That the pain wasn't there to break you. It was there to build you. That the losses weren't meant to destroy you. They were clearing space for better. That the betrayal wasn't a curse. It was a reveal. It showed you who was never real, who was only there for the good times, who vanished when you needed them most. And now that you know, you'll never unsee it. You'll never lower yourself again. You'll never hand your heart to cowards. You'll love deeper, but wiser. You'll trust, but with boundaries. And you'll protect your peace like your life depends on it, because it does. They don't tell you this part. The part where you go quiet, not because you've run out of things to say, but because no one earned the right to hear them anymore. You're not cold, you're just done bleeding. For people who never even brought a bandage. You're not emotionless. You just got tired of explaining how deep you love, how hard you try, how much it cost you to stay when everything inside you was screaming to walk away. And now your silence is the loudest version of you. It's the voice they ignored for too long, the one they thought they could manipulate. And when they come back, because trust me, silence always brings them back, they'll act like they miss you, like they suddenly see your worth. But it's not love, it's panic. Panic that you found peace without them, that you found strength in your absence, that you healed in ways they never thought you would. That's when you realize something brutal. Most people don't love you. They love access to you, your presence, your support, your energy, the way you made them feel about themselves. Take that away, and suddenly you're cold, selfish, arrogant, because you stopped giving them something they were never willing to give you back. And that's the shift. That's where everything changes. When you finally decide to match their energy. Not out of revenge, but out of respect for yourself. You stop reaching, stop explaining, stop proving. You just disappear. No fights, no warnings, just gone. And the silence? It shakes them more than any screaming match ever could, because they never expected you to choose you. You have to understand, your value doesn't decrease just because someone couldn't see it. That's their blindness, not your fault. You could hand them gold, and they'd still fumble it like it was dust. You could offer the kind of love that could resurrect the dead, and they'd still choose chaos. Not because you weren't enough, but because peace terrifies people who only know dysfunction. That's why they run. That's why they sabotage. That's why they leave, then blame you for walking away. Because you were the mirror. And mirrors scare people who hate their own reflection. You made them see themselves. And when they couldn't handle the truth, they turned you into the villain just to sleep at night. But that's not your burden to carry anymore. You spent too long trying to be the glue in places that were already cracked. Too long trying to fix people who didn't even want to be healed. Too long burning out your own light just to keep others from going dark. And for what? So they could pretend you never mattered? So they could rewrite history and make you the one who changed? Let them. Let them craft whatever story they need to ease their guilt. You don't need to defend yourself in rooms you've already outgrown. You don't need to explain your silence to people who only heard you when you screamed. Now, you use that silence. You let it sharpen you, harden you, teach you, because silence teaches you who really listens, who really cares, and most importantly, who really deserves a seat at your table. From now on, you don't entertain maybes. You don't chase people who can't even meet you halfway. You don't tolerate energy that drains you. You protect your peace like it's gold, because it is. It took too long to find. Too many breakdowns. Too many nights wondering why you weren't enough. Too many tears wiped in rooms no one saw. So no, they don't get to come back just because they finally miss you. Let them miss you. Let them feel what absence really means. Because this version of you, this silent, focused, distant version, this is the one they never wanted to meet. Not because it's evil, but because it's unbreakable. You've been through too much to ever be soft the same way again. And that's not a loss. That's evolution. You grew past them, past the pain, past the lies. And now you don't need closure. You are the closure. There's a certain kind of rage that doesn't scream. It just watches everything, remembers everything. The laughs, the silence, the lies wrapped in kind words, the moments they made you feel like too much while giving them everything. And when that rage grows up, it doesn't burn bridges. It buries them quietly, coldly, with a shovel made of discipline. See, there's a point in life where you stop reacting emotionally and start responding intelligently, where you don't let the chaos around you pull you back into who you used to be. You become something else, colder, calmer, and harder to reach. Not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring about the right things, like your mind, your peace, your goals, your soul. And the moment you put yourself first, the world that used to benefit from your self-neglect starts to turn against you. They say you changed. Damn right you did. That was the whole point. And the ones who never respected you, they notice. not because they miss your presence, but because they miss your usefulness. They miss how you always showed up, how you always cared more, tried harder, forgave quicker. But now you're not answering. Now you're not breaking your own heart to spare theirs. Now you're not interested in half efforts, weak apologies, or recycled promises. And the silence? Oh, it stings. Because silence means they no longer have control. You took it back. And once a person tastes peace after chaos, there's no going back. You start moving different. You start speaking less. Not everyone deserves access to your mind. Not everyone gets to hear your plans, your thoughts, your fears. You've learned that sharing with the wrong people is like giving ammunition to your enemies and being surprised when they pull the trigger. You also learn the difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is what you feel when you're surrounded by people who make you feel unseen. Solitude? That's power. That's healing. That's when you look in the mirror and say, if it's just me, I'll still make it. And you will. Because solitude teaches you how to stand on your own, how to clap for yourself, how to rebuild quietly, and most importantly, how to walk away from anything that disrupts your energy. You stop arguing, stop defending, stop trying to prove your worth to people who were blind from the beginning. You let the distance speak. You let the silence do the explaining. And while they're trying to figure out what happened, you're too far gone to care. You start building in silence. Your body, your money, your mindset, your future, one day at a time. No validation, no need to broadcast it. Because success is louder in silence. And the more you grow, the more the noise fades. You stop checking on people who never checked on you. You stop revisiting places that broke you. You stop explaining your healing to those who laughed at your wounds. And it's not hate, it's clarity. Pure, raw clarity. You're done pouring into empty cups, done running on empty, done letting love be your weakness. From now on, love doesn't make you soft. It makes you wise, careful, selective. You don't just give your loyalty away anymore. You let people earn it. And when they fail to, you let them go without guilt, without rage, without noise. This world didn't make you cold. It made you see things for what they are. And what you are is someone who survived the things designed to destroy you. Someone who crawled out of the wreckage and didn't ask for pity, just progress. And that alone, that makes you dangerous. Not to others, to doubt, to fear, to the weakness that used to control you. You're no longer controlled by the need to be loved. You're driven by purpose, by legacy, by peace. And the ones who let you go, let them stay gone. Because the longer you're away, the clearer you'll see. they never deserved access to your light in the first place. You ever notice how quiet it gets after the chaos ends? Not peaceful quiet, hollow quiet. The kind that creeps into your bones when everything familiar is gone. When the people you once bled for are nowhere to be found. That's when life tests you. Not with noise, not with fire, but with silence. And that silence, that's the real battlefield. Because in it, you're left with only one voice, your own. No validation, no applause, no comforting lies, just your thoughts, your pain, your past, your truth. That's when most people break. That's when they crawl back to the very people who hurt them, just to fill the void. But you, Number, you stood in that silence. You let it pierce you, let it burn. And instead of begging for noise, you adapted. You evolved. You learned how to breathe in the emptiness, how to move in the dark. And that, right there, is why you're different now. Because while they were running from themselves, you faced your demons head on. You sat with your guilt, your anger, your regret. You dissected every scar, every mistake, every choice. You didn't numb it. You studied it. You let it hurt until it taught you something. You turned your breakdown into a blueprint, and they'll never understand that kind of strength because most people only know how to survive with others. But you survived alone. And you didn't just survive. You built in that solitude. You created a version of yourself that doesn't flinch anymore, that doesn't overthink a goodbye, that doesn't chase, beg, or explain. You became someone who doesn't get shaken by storms because you are the storm now. And the truth is, not everyone deserves access to this new version of you. The healed one, the focused one, the dangerous one. People always want the evolved version of you without going through the destruction they help cause. They want your loyalty, your effort, your love, but not the silence, not the growth, not the price. Let them want. Let them regret. Let them tell stories about how close they were to something real and lost it. Because when you gave them everything, they played with it, laughed, ignored, disrespected. But now they're watching from a distance. And the distance is loud. It's screaming what your words never could. You don't belong here anymore. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real goal. Not revenge. Not making them feel what you felt, but simply becoming untouchable. Building a life so disciplined, so peaceful, so solid, that they couldn't reach you even if they tried. That's the kind of glow up the world doesn't talk about. The one where your silence turns into power, where your pain turns into fuel, where the love you used to give away becomes something you protect. And not out of fear, out of wisdom. Because you finally learned the heart doesn't break you. People do. Expectations do. Ignoring red flags does. And now that you've woken up, you won't unsee what you've seen. So now you don't get angry when people leave. You expect it. You don't get shocked when loyalty fades. You measure it. You don't get hurt when someone doesn't choose you. You thank them, because everything that walks away clears space for something better. Everything that ends opens the door to something real. And every loss, it becomes a weapon in your arsenal, a lesson in your story, a reason why you walk different, talk different, move different. You're not the same, and that's the part they can't stand. Not that you changed, but that you changed without them. And now that you've changed, you see things through a different lens. You don't romanticize struggle anymore. You don't call it loyalty when you're the only one trying. You don't mistake crumbs for love, silence for peace, or absence for growth. No, now you read people by their energy, by what they do when they think you'll stay no matter what. You've learned that the most dangerous thing you can give the wrong person is consistency. They'll drain you, use you, leave you, and then act like you were the problem when you finally cut the cord. That's what this world does. It turns good hearts into graveyards, full of dead trust, buried expectations, and unmarked graves of old versions of yourself that died for people who never showed up. But you don't bury those versions with shame anymore. You bury them with pride. Because every time you were used, abandoned, doubted, or played, it gave birth to a stronger version of you, a colder one. Not numb, just aware. Not bitter, just focused. You see, there's a difference between reacting from pain and responding with power. And now, you respond. You don't panic when people switch up. You let them. You don't chase when they drift. You open the door wider. Because if you have to convince someone to stay, they were already halfway gone. Let them go. Let them run. Let them drown in the same silence they forced you to live in. You don't play games anymore. You don't beg anymore. You remember. You remember who left when you needed them most, who laughed when you were struggling, who stayed silent when your name was dragged. You remember who looked at you like you were nothing, and you remember it not to hold a grudge, but to never let it happen again. That's how you grow, with eyes wide open, heart guarded, and hands no longer reaching. You don't reach anymore. If it doesn't reach back, leave it. If it doesn't feel solid, walk away. If it makes you question your worth, drop it. And if it returns without growth, lock the door. You've come too far to entertain weakness dressed as comfort. Too far to lower yourself just to be understood by people. Too shallow to see depth when it stands in front of them. They called you too sensitive, too emotional, too much. And now they call you distant, unavailable, different, good. Let them call you whatever helps them sleep at night. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to understand yourself. And you've done that now. You've sat in silence long enough to know what you want, what you need, what you'll never tolerate again. You don't beg for love. You are love. You don't chase peace. You protect it. And you don't fear endings. You respect them. Because some endings are the beginning of your real story. The version of you that doesn't apologize for being too real, too honest, too raw. And when they see you now, from a distance, from behind blocked doors, from the outside looking in, they'll feel it. Not your revenge, your absence. And that hurts more than anything you could have said. Because now they know you were never the one who needed them. They needed you. And they lost the rarest thing this world has left. Someone real. Someone who would have gone to war beside them. Someone who stayed long after they deserved it. But not anymore. You're done proving, done explaining, done bleeding. Now you're just building, quietly, powerfully, without them. There's something viciously poetic about the way life turns on you right after you start giving your all. You put your heart in your hands, offer it raw, bleeding, full of loyalty, and what do you get? Silence. Ingratitude. Disrespect served with a smile. And the worst part? You don't see it coming, because people are artists when it comes to pretending. They'll love you until it's no longer convenient. They'll call you everything beautiful while secretly wishing to see you broken. And once they take what they need, your energy, your presence, your time, they vanish. No warning, no reason, just gone, like you never mattered. And you sit there with your chest cracked open, wondering if you imagined the whole thing. But you didn't. They just never had the depth to handle someone like you. You gave real in a world that thrives on fake. You gave peace in a world addicted to chaos. And that's why you were targeted. Because nothing scares the broken more than someone who refuses to break. But now, you're no longer the same version of you they left. You've rebuilt, not prettily, not softly, but with grit, with rage, with silence. You learn to stitch your own wounds, to calm your own storms, to be your own rescue when nobody showed up. You stopped waiting, stopped hoping, stopped offering explanations to people committed to misunderstanding you. You chose growth over comfort, distance over disrespect, and peace over pity. And that growth, it made you unrecognizable to them, to the old you. Because healing doesn't just change how you move, it changes who you are. It rewires your instincts, your triggers, your responses. Where you once reacted with emotion, you now respond with detachment. Where you once begged for clarity, you now cut ties without a word. That's the evolution they never saw coming. They thought you'd come crawling back, thought you'd fold, thought you'd stay stuck in the pain they caused. But you flipped the script. You used their absence as motivation, their silence as fuel, their betrayal as blueprints. And now Now, you walk with the kind of power that can't be explained. It's felt. It's in the way you no longer seek validation, in the way your peace is non-negotiable, in the way you no longer flinch when people leave. Because the ones meant for you, they don't disappear at the first sign of difficulty. They don't make you beg for effort. They show up. They stay. And anything less than that isn't welcome anymore. You stopped confusing potential with reality. You stopped trying to heal people who cut you with the same hands you used to save them. You realized that love without respect is a trap. That loyalty without reciprocity is self-destruction. And that history doesn't excuse repeated disrespect. Just because someone was part of your story doesn't mean they deserve to stay in your future. You've outgrown too many versions of yourself to let dead weight hold you back now. You're done making yourself small to fit into places that never made room for you, done lowering your voice just to be heard, done shrinking your fire to keep others warm. Now you shine unapologetically, not for them, for you. Because you survived what was meant to end you. You endured storms that would have destroyed weaker souls. You walked through hell and came out with scars that don't scream pain anymore. They scream power. So let them wonder how you healed. Let them question how you stayed silent. Let them regret. Because while they were busy playing games, you were building an empire. And now, you're untouchable. Not because you became cruel, but because you finally understood not everyone deserves access to you.